I think when you, from a public standpoint, the first question that comes to everyone's mind is that what caused this collapse? I mean, we are afraid that many people have lost their lives, and rightfully so. People are very concerned, and they are concerned because they say, okay, if this happened to this building, is it going to happen to the building that I'm at? And am I going to be able to sleep comfortably, not having the possibility of the building collapse? The way the structural engineers approach these kind of cases, they collect all the information, all the data. For example, they're going to look at the design plans. They're going to look at how the building was constructed. They're going to take samples of the steel, concrete. They're going to look at the signs of corrosion. They're going to look at the foundation, trying to see where there was a settlement. They're going to look at trying to see if any unusual event took place before the collapse. They're going to talk to the people. So they're going to collect all the information. And as the structural engineers, actually in the computer, we can simulate. Once we have all the information, we can simulate exactly different scenarios, and we can pinpoint how the collapse took place. And unfortunately, that is not going to be happening in a matter of days, weeks. It's going to take some time. How long? That's another question people ask. Okay, how long does it take? Well, that depends on the complexity of the problem. You cannot set a timetable. You have to be very detailed. You have to collect every information that's out there, and that may take months. Then the next step beyond that is that, okay, if there is the cause of the collapse is something that could affect maybe other buildings, then okay, then what we do? It may be just for this particular building. Most likely, hopefully that is the case. I don't think that this type of the collapse that took place has much to do with the age of the building. We have many buildings that are older than that, and they are sound. And usually the buildings, the strength is not a factor. Strength is not really what causes the collapse, usually. Unless you have a bad material going there, unless you have a bad construction procedures, or the building was not designed originally for the loads that it should. There was a mistake in designs. So if this building was designed in, I believe they said 1981, so buildings designed in 1981, we had lots of knowledge, so I wouldn't say the age is a factor at all. No, it's not by itself. We have to look at the information, and my guess will be that, I mean, there are some other factors, possible factors that could play in this case, but it's too early. The biggest mistake that in every collapse that takes place is trying to pinpoint that I think this caused the collapse. That is not the scientific way. That's not the way the engineers look at the problem. I mean, being in the coastal area, of course, you are subjected to the salt water, but that's just one factor. Maybe you could have heavy loads on the roof, let's say, for example. You can have a building that was not designed for the load that it should. You could have maybe a foundation problem. You could have part of the basically foundation gate. So there is lots of different scenarios that can play. But you can design buildings for every situations. Every situation that we have, you can design for it. So just being in the coastal area really doesn't, by itself, is not the factor that say if you are in the coastal area, therefore you're going to collapse. Yes, you are going to get corrosion problem, but we can protect it for corrosion. If you have a collapse, and that's where the inspection comes in, there are some signs. For example, let's say if you have a concrete building, the way we design concrete buildings are that they show some cracking and widening of the cracking before collapsing. These are members. In the seismic area, for example, we design it so that it can sustain damage but does not collapse. Okay. In non-seismic area, we don't do that. We don't design the buildings for the progressive collapse. Usually there is a warning, and that's where the inspection comes in. That's what I was saying, that I think we need to approach our inspection a bit differently, at least maybe for certain buildings.